This is the Lakers Fast Break. Lakers Nightcap with Joe Soro. We just got out of the post game, so I got myself ready a little bit with my drink. I already poured it. There you go, everyone. And I am sticking with the Tito's vodka because it's easier on the body, easier on the mind. I have a nice little glass, and it puts me to sleep after the show's over. You got a problem with that? That's on you. So, tonight, very, very, very positive night tonight. And we have the Lakers really kind of controlling this game from quarter one to four. After one, they were all even at 25, and then they kind of rode whatever was going on from there to kind of like a wire to wire victory. They did have a little bit of a hitch in the third quarter where the Thunder made a run. I think it was they were up. The Lakers were up 12 points, and then brought it down to two. Then after that, the Lakers kind of controlled the tempo from there. Sports baby, how you doing, brother? Good to see. Good to hear from you from Sydney, Australia. I like it. Okay, where are we? 6 p.m. Ooh, that's pretty good. Joe, Intel. I'm still in Vegas till tomorrow morning. RIP. Casino Royale, 4 shots and a Coke, $16. Wait, you paid $16 for 4 shots and a Coke? That's actually not bad. What's up, Xbox? I wish it was 6 p.m. It's 11 p.m. Pacific Standard Time in the United States. Yeah, that's really cheap. I remember I was in Vegas years ago, actually. It's maybe like 5 years ago, where I paid $45 before tip for 3 shots. So that's good. But anyways, for those of you who weren't on the post game, we're going to go over the game tonight a little bit, and then we're going to talk some Dodger baseball as well as some football. But the Lakers won tonight 116-104. Anthony Davis had a very, very productive Anthony Davis night. Played 30 minutes, scored 24 points, had 12 rebounds and 3 blocks. He was 10 of 11 from the free throw line. And it's one thing I noticed about tonight with his free throws. They were crisp. It was 2020 AD at the line. It felt like if he had 100 free throws tonight, he would have made 95 of them. That's how good his shot was tonight. His activity was great. His usage was great. He got 24 points on 12 shots. So Anthony Davis killed it tonight. It was really, really good. D'Angelo Russell dropped 26 points, played 34 minutes. His kind of what they he doesn't really, I don't see him do the ice in the veins, but his ice in the vein moment there in the third where he hit 3 straight threes. My God. That's why we watch basketball, folks. It's very, very entertaining when you can see a guy just light it up, and it's just you can't stop him. Doesn't matter how many hands in the air, how many hands in the face. He was dropping them left and right. Then, of course, LeBron with a near triple double had 19 points, 10 rebounds, 8 assists, played 31 minutes. I'd say this is about as perfect a game as you could get from a team that is trying to get somewhere here, like the Lakers, and a fact that you're playing a team that's already there, a team that's a second seed in the best conference in the NBA. You only play Davis and LeBron 30 and 31 minutes. That's how you preserve those guys. That's how you take care of business. Torian Prince had a good game, played 22 minutes with 5 of 7, hit 4 3-pointers tonight. He was a plus 29, so he was very valuable tonight. And Dinwiddie with the stat of the night, 24 minutes, made 1 shot, and was a plus 35. So plus and minus, very, very dubious stat, but worked out tonight for sure. So until dropping the dimes already, literally. How did we win this game tonight? Thunder with a back-to-back, then Thunder kids partied and stayed up late. Yeah, you could probably say that. It was the back end of a back-to-back. But I've seen the Lakers get smoked by teams that are playing on the back end of a back-to-back. So I don't know if I'm going to want to use that reasoning. But you're probably right, Intel. That's likely what happened because they did kind of look sluggish. Maybe Shea was the leader of that because Shea only had 20 points tonight. He wasn't really a factor pretty much the whole game. D'Lo, D'Lo is the third option. He is playing like an all-star right now. He is playing like an all-star. I wish he had played like this the first couple of months of the year. Same with Austin Reeves. They might have been able to win 4 or 5 more games if they were playing like this at the beginning of the year. But at least they're doing it now. I'm not going to sit here and harp on it too much. Rui, there was issues with Rui and injuries as well. And of course, Mr. Darvin Ham not playing him enough. They've solved those 3 issues in the starting lineup. The only issue the Lakers have right now is can they get the bench to pull some weight when the big 5 are not playing or when they're staggered. That's going to be the question the rest of the year. And I don't have a lot of confidence in the return of Vanderbilt or Gabe Vincent until I see it. I don't believe it. If they do come back and they are productive, then it's going to only add to the fact that the Lakers are going to have at least a chance to be able to spread this out a little bit so the main guys don't get too burnt out by playoff time. Lakers have a good team. Sports baby, define good team. Define good team. Are they a really good team? They should be a good team. They should be a good team. They have 2 perennial all-stars that are still very, very good. You have a third player who has been playing like an all-star for 2 months now. You have a very good role player in Austin Reeves who can get to the basket, or I should say get to the paint and score with some aggressiveness, whether it's by the defense or himself, can hit open shots. And then, of course, you have Rui Hachimura, who's coming into his own here in the last year with the Lakers, who has a very good physique, can be physical, can shoot from outside, can go to the basket. So, good team, yes, but you're only as good as your record says that it is. And right now, the Lakers are 5 games above 500, and they've never been above five games over 500 at any point this year. I don't know if that's good enough. I don't know if that's a good team. It's a hair above average at this point. If they want to be a good team, win the next 5 games. If you're sitting at 10 games above 500, and looking at the record now, if they're sitting at 10 games over 500, they'd be 39 and 29. And that now starts to creep into that good spot. Now you're sitting at 14 games left to really be a good team. Can you win 10 of the last 14 games there? Then now you're starting to get to that 49, 50 win area. I said they need to win 50 games to get that 5th or 6th seed. So they have 16 wins to go, but they can't lose more than 3. So if they go 16-3 the rest of the way, then you can say they're a good team, and they're very likely going to solidify themselves as a play, not a play-in team. So 16 of the next 19 games, my prediction from the beginning of this, when they were at 60 games played, this is it. This is it right here, and we're going to see if they can do it. Still don't get over what Ham has done. Yeah, every time I get excited, I think about him, and then that's when I kind of start to go down a little bit. Where the Laker future and the Laker fandom is all in the hands of Darvin Ham in the end. He has every ounce of ability to screw this all up, and he has plenty this year. So if that's something we have to live with, we're going to have a lot of material, we're going to have a lot of rants, and we're going to have a lot of people watching. So because apparently every time the Lakers lose a game that's important, the rants come and the people come to listen to the rants. So, Intel, you just loving dropping dollars, huh? Okay. So you're saying that if they go 16-3, you'll super chat $500. Okay. All right. We'll have to wait and see. We appreciate them. We appreciate it though, Intel. You are the man. You really are. You are a wild man, and we appreciate you. The Nuggets game was ham putting D'Lo in late. Yeah, Ty, that was the big mistake there. Trying to rely on the defensive prowess of Cam Reddish, so to speak, which there was no prowess at all. Should have just stuck with his starters at the end there and let D'Lo get this little demon out, because we remember that he was non-existent in the Western Conference Finals last year. This would have been a good chance for him to get out of his funk with this team, considering it was the last time they were going to face Denver in the regular season. Yeah, Bloodhound. I did mention that earlier today. It's mind-boggling to me to imagine someone who was such an integral part of my life growing up being gone for 30 years. If I look at every decade as a generation. So John Candy as is so powerful. He created such a powerful legacy that he still has people talking about him every day today. People that weren't even alive when he died. We're talking about 25-year-olds, 20-year-olds. So he was a huge impact in the world because he was a good person. Not only a great entertainer, but he was a great person. And there are legendary stories about what he did. Actors, producers, directors that talked about him, people that met him. He was the perfect example of the good die young. He was a beautiful man from everything I've heard, a beautiful person, and he's still sorely missed. And after the show is over here in 48 minutes, now that you guys got me kind of riled up, I'm probably going to go and pop in a John Candy movie and fall asleep to it. So Intel Super Chat 500 or Joe 16 shots in 2.5 hours for 500. I'll do that too. Shh, come on, man. Really? 16 shots. Hold on. Let me do the math on this. So we got 150 minutes to do 16 shots. So I got to do a shot every 9 1/3 minute. Let me think about that one, Intel. Let me think about that one, and let me see what day I'd want to do that. Is it 7.5 minutes? I thought it was 9. 9 and 1/3. Are you sure? Because I got 150 minutes divided by 16 shots. I'm getting 9.3 and some change. 16 shots. I took 16 shots on my 30th birthday. You guys want to talk about a story? All right. You ready for a story? I'm going to tell the story, then I'll get back to sports. So, I'm 30 years old. This is 16 years ago. I had the best meal I ever had in my life. Went to Ruth's Chris Steakhouse, had a steak, lobster tail, baked potato, mushrooms. I had bread. I had soda. I had cakes for dessert. I had shrimp cocktails. I had a martini. I had all that stuff. I even ate my wife's quarter steak that was left. I remember leaving that night to go to the party for the 30th party downtown San Diego. And I was full for 2 hours. You know how when you eat too much food, you're full for like about 15, 20 minutes? Like, oh man, I ate too much. Jesus Christ. Mine lasted 2 hours. 2 freaking hours. And I think it was because God set me up without me even knowing. How? I go to our bar. It's kind of like a skybox building in downtown San Diego. Very beautiful view. The weather was perfect. So everybody there that I know, friends and acquaintances, most of the people that were there were broke. And this was at a time when I didn't have a lot of money either, but I was doing all right. But everybody in my life was broke. They say happy birthday. They were doing whatever they were doing, but they were pretty much useless, except for one of my buddies, Brian Duarte. Props to Brian Duarte. Brian was feeding me Grey Goose and Patron for like 2 hours. Imagine that, 2 hours. It's like Patron, Grey Goose, Patron, Grey Goose. And I didn't find out until like 7 to 8 years later from one of my buddies that I ended up drinking 15 shots that night. 15 shots. So I drink my 15th shot, apparently. At the time, I didn't know it was 15. And I had family members started screaming at my friend Brian for feeding me too many shots because I was just about to go out. I could feel it. I was like, man, I'm blitzed. So they're yelling at Brian. I start yelling. I'm like, you all broke mother, you know what's, and you haven't paid for dick tonight, and he's paid for all my drinks, and you haven't done shit. So after all that's done, everybody's laughing, everybody's having a good time. Then we go downstairs, and I am jacked, blitzed, faded all at once. Now, I'm standing there and I'm like, I don't feel very good. And you can only imagine what was coming next. So I'm walking. People are, anytime my friends see weakness, they like to emasculate me. So they were taking pictures. I was sitting there, sitting in a seat, doing this kind of stuff. They're doing this kind of stuff with my head, taking pictures, smacking me in the face. I'm sitting there and I'm just like, whatever, whatever, whatever. Hey, by the way, I need to yak. I'll feel so much better if I yak. So everybody gets out of the way. I stand up and I'm like, I can't throw up on the street because I can feel it. It's going to be like gallons of yakking. So I stand up and there isn't a trash can in sight. It's downtown San Diego. A lot of these restaurants move in their trash cans because they don't want the homeless people or whatever to screw up the trash can. Now, there are city trash cans, but they're all strategically placed in certain areas, usually like 50 feet away. Well, it was pretty much that in this situation. So I'm standing there. I'm trying to look for a trash can so I don't have to throw up on the street. Not because I was embarrassed, but just because I didn't want to have anybody smell it or walk by it. I was trying to be a decent guy. Well, I see a trash can. It was across the street, and it might as well have been in Beirut. So I look at the trash can, I look at all my friends, and I go, yep, not going to make it. Right in front of a patio restaurant. Not only did I throw up, I threw up where that poor bastard the next morning that had to set up whatever that restaurant was going to be. God help him. He was going to have to clean it up. I threw up everything. Everything I ate that night was gone out of my body. And it felt really good. And it saved my life. I'm sure of it. Even at that moment when I was messed up, I knew it had saved me. Now, I'm still jacked up beyond recognition. Jacked up. My wife, my friends, they get my truck. I drove obviously that over there that night. Wasn't driving home at that point. So I'm in there and I'm sitting in the back seat and I'm like, I just want to fall asleep basically. So I get in there and I can hear the boom in your head from the music, from being in the club and whatever. And then finally I start seeing everybody kind of say, hey, what's up? What's going on? Have a good night. We'll see you, blah, 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 blah. Then I start driving home. And then at that point, I don't really remember too much. I get home. I'm still somewhat remembering it, but I just pass out. Passed out. 6, 7 hours later, get up in the morning. I think we had left around 1:30, so I got home. I think we got home around 2:30 that night. So I fell asleep for about 6 or 7 hours, woke up in the morning, and still had alcohol in my stomach. I could still feel it. I wasn't drunk, but I felt the alcohol in my stomach. Now, here's the best part of the story. I get up feeling this alcohol in my stomach. I had a heroin addict craving for the number 6 at Wendy's. For those of you who don't know what that is, it's the spicy chicken. I get up in the morning and I go, I have to have the number 6 at Wendy's. There's a story about that. I had friends of mine that worked at Wendy's. We used to get hooked up there growing up. That's the story there. So the number 6 is my favorite food. Is the spicy chicken sandwich at Wendy's, fries with a Coke, and then I would have a frosty afterwards. So I wake up. I've woken up and I say, I gotta go get the number 6. What time does Wendy's open? Well, they have breakfast, I think, at like 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, and they'll serve whatever, even regular lunch. So we get over there, and I'm still feeling this alcohol in my stomach. I start eating, finish, and man, it was like breaking a fever. My stomach cleared. My my head started sweating like this clean, cool sweat, and everything from the night before just went. Greatest drinking night I ever had. If it wasn't for the food, I would have had a hangover for 2 days. That's how much I drank. So props to Ruth's Chris, props to Wendy's for getting me out of my funk, and props to everyone around me that make sure I got home and fed me good drinks that night. One of the more epic 30, uh, 30 years of a birthday that you could have. And I'm telling you this story, and if it's interesting, cool, you would have much more enjoyed it while you were there because it was much, much better live. So that's the story of the drinking in the teens life for one night. And whether I'm going to make it happen twice, I'm going to have to think about that one, Intel. I'm going to have to think about that one. I don't know if I can do that one, but we'll see. We'll see. So going back to the game again, the Lakers played extremely consistent tonight, other than maybe one little run that Oklahoma City had. The Lakers have to figure out a way to be adaptable. I think that's probably the main issue they've had this year is they don't seem to play adaptable basketball. They can't switch dependent on the opponent. It takes them a minute or when I say a minute, as in a game or two, to adjust from it. They're surprised or they can't really move on. They're not consistent enough in doing what they need to do. Why? Because they're not. They don't have like a chess player. A chess player, they're thinking 6, 7 moves ahead. The Lakers are always in the moment. And a lot of times you can't be in the moment with this particular team versus this particular team. And they're going to have to figure that out. That usually comes from good coaching, by the way, folks. I'm going to keep harping on that until the Lakers get a better coach because that's the issue. The preparation on playing certain teams isn't there. And players have a lot to do in their preparation. They got to take care of themselves. They got to make sure they're healthy. They got to make sure they have the right fluids, food, whatever. They can't be devising plans and schemes. That's the coach's job. Whether you're a great player, whether you're a marginal player, it doesn't matter. Those guys, it's not their jobs to scheme their team. It's supposed to be, it helps if they can prepare. But when it comes to team sports, it's the job of the coach to have his players prepared, and he needs to guide them and where to go and what to do. Tonight, very good game, very encouraging for what hopefully will be a run here in the next, let's say, 3 to 4 games. The next 3 games, you're going to have Sacramento, Milwaukee, and Minnesota. Very formidable teams. If somehow the Lakers can get on a little run here, they can really, really ramp this up and finish the homestand, except for that one in Sacramento, in a very, very positive note. For me, the positive note would be 7-3. They can go 7-3 in these 10 games, then they're setting themselves up for that grueling 6-game road trip with at least maybe getting out of there, if they're lucky, with a 4-2 record. But if they're 3-3 in that case, you're going to have to take it because it's going to be really tough to play 6 games with only 2 days off. So that's where that is. And we're going to talk more about the Next game against Sacramento tomorrow. We're going to have a snack pack. Gerald's probably is likely going to be hosting. He'll probably give you more information here when he gets here shortly. As far as other topics at hand, we just found out that Russell Wilson was cut by the Denver Broncos, giving the Broncos the largest cap hit in NFL history, $85 million. Now, I've heard some things about Russell Wilson behind the scenes that I don't know if I don't think he's a diva. I don't think he's a cancer, but there's this frustration that comes from his team, certain teammates and certain coaches, that there's an irritant in the air with him. So much so that they're willing to take an $85 million, and guys, the salary cap is like 285. So you're talking about almost half the damn thing. Not close to half, but that's a lot of money that you have to sit on. So you're gonna have to rely on that draft and a lot of rookie contracts to get out of this one. But it must have been bad enough to where they're like, well, we're not gonna deal with this again. We're not gonna deal with Mr. Wilson anymore. Now, Russell Wilson's going to be able to go play for the minimum somewhere and try to win another Super Bowl because he's getting paid $85 million here whenever that contract is supposed to be set up. I don't know if it's divided within the next year or 2 or 3. I'd have to check that one out. But Russell Wilson, yes, look for him to go somewhere that needs a quarterback that might be a quarterback away from winning. Who would that be? Who needs a quarterback right now that has a really, really good team? Something to think about there. Would he go to Pittsburgh? Reports are saying already that Pittsburgh's not interested, and I don't blame him. Would he go to Minnesota if Kirk Cousins leaves? That's one to look at, maybe. Would he go to Atlanta? I know there's word that Justin Fields might go to Atlanta or Pittsburgh. So he's got some choices, although Atlanta's not going to win anything. Vikings, they have a formidable team. They have amazing weapons. I think that could work out for him, but it's going to be an interesting free agent week here coming up, and also going to get a chance to see a few quarterbacks here that are going to be changing spots and how that kind of changes the dynamics of the NFL. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. Looking forward to seeing it. So, Tom Brady is going to be in the booth, sports baby. I don't know if they publicized that out in the Outback, but Tom Brady, I think the contract was it CBS? I think it was like $285 million or something, 270. So he's going to be doing a lot of this, and we're going to get a chance to see if he could top Mr. Tony Romo. That's a lot of money for a guy that's never done any announcing. So kind of curious to see how that works out. In-N-Out always tastes the same anywhere you eat it. Very good quality. Yes, Intel. In-N-Out Burger, for the price that you get and the service you get, is the perfect food for fast food. Plus, they're always open till 1:30, which means you're never, ever, ever not going to be able to get it. It's the perfect business. As a matter of fact, when I talk to people about Sin Blades, I tell them that I try to mimic In-N-Out Burger's structure. How does that work with artificial turf? Well, I have a 3-sample menu that I present. I have more, just like they have the secret menu. I have other samples, other types of material that people can look at, but I usually like to go with just 3 because you want to keep it simple. If you start showing them 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different types, they're all going to start looking alike at some point. So you use the 3 most popular ones, the 3 most visual ones. One's got the lighter green, one's got the darker, one's got a little dual color, whatever. And now they're going to get a chance to see pretty much every kind of shade that you need in these 3 samples. In-N-Out Burger is the same thing. You got the double, the single, and the one without cheese. Simple, simple, simple. Keep it simple. Keep the service good. And then you'll turn into a very successful business. But I love the spicy chicken from Wendy's. I don't think no matter how good the the Habits hamburger is, or Five Guys, or In-N-Out. There's something about that spicy chicken that just resonates for me. Every time a new In-N-Out opens up, it's crowded like hell. It's crowded all the time. The secret to getting around that intel is you got to park and go in. You're going to get a much quicker turnaround time on your food, which you just have to get out. I've had, I don't know how many experiences in this where I'll see two lanes, and what they do is they have that person that'll order while you're waiting in line. A genius move, by the way, whoever did that. But you have two lanes that go into one. And if you see 17, 18 cars that are going, and they move quick. Again, the In-N-Out Burger is really good at everything. But you're still going to probably wait 15 to 20 minutes to get your food. So if you go in, usually when I go in, the line isn't long enough to where I'm not ordering within maybe 2 or 3 minutes tops. And then after that, food comes out usually within 5 to 10 minutes. So you save yourself probably 5 to 10 minutes sometimes if you just go in. And I usually like to eat the food right away because the fries are fresh from real potatoes. If it's too long waiting to eat the fries, they tend to not taste as good and they tend to kind of dry out and get cold real quick. So I like to eat In-N-Out at In-N-Out as soon as I get my burger and my fries because it tastes better. Oof, man, we've gone through everything here today. We talked about food, drinks, throwing up, the Lakers, Russell Wilson. So what's next, folks? What's next? Well, the big story in the last month or so has been Mr. Shohei Ohtani. And the Dodgers right now are the star of the Major League Baseball season here in about a month. And the Dodgers are a little bit more equipped with talent versus the Lakers, but they have the same debilitating issue in terms of leadership in the dugout, and that's Mr. Dave Roberts. Dave Roberts is the only kryptonite that could stop this. So we're going to get a chance to see if Mr. Friedman will allow another year to go by, especially with this talent, especially with this infusion of talent. He's going to let this happen again should the Dodgers not win the World Series. The Dodgers have to win the World Series this year. If you can't win with Ohtani, Yamamoto, Glasnow, and whoever they get probably at the deadline, because I don't think Buehler or May are going to be anything what they were supposed to be at this point or what they were. There's just too much damage on that arm of theirs. Both have had Tommy John surgery on their arms twice. It's just not realistic to think that they're going to be anything close to what they were supposed to be or what they were. But my only worry is going to be Dave Roberts. Will he put Kershaw, when he's healthy, in a high-pressure situation and screw up everything in the playoffs like he has several times? The hope is no. Will it happen? There's a higher probability that it will happen versus not, just because we pay attention to history. Hey, Joe, if Ohtani wins 2 World Series and he pitches at least of those seasons, do you think he's the GOAT? No. For him to be the GOAT, he's going to have to likely play 20 years. He's going to likely have to play 20 years. Winning a couple World Series, sure. I think he'll need to win more, though. 3,000 hits, 600 home runs. Yeah. The GOAT is a very difficult spot in baseball. It's very, very difficult. Babe Ruth is still the GOAT in my eyes, even though I never saw him play. The one guy I did see play that, if I'm factoring in just players that I've seen, is Barry Bonds. But Barry Bonds, unfortunately, hindered his greatness a little by turning himself into a superhero. But Ohtani's contract is set up to win. And at any time, if he feels like this team is not going to be competing to win, he can opt out. So this guy's deferred money for tax reasons and competition reasons so that he can win. If Ohtani does what Derek Jeter did at the Yankees and wins 5 championships, hits 3,000, hits 600 home runs, now you're talking about you're going to be in the GOAT discussion. I don't think he'll ever be the GOAT. He'll have to be the home run king, hit 3,500. He'll have to hit 3,500 hits, batting 330. Like it's very difficult to beat the numbers of the GOATs that we've touted as the GOATs. It's just going to be very, very difficult. I'd have to analyze that in 10 years and see where he's at. He'd have to be hitting 40 home runs at least 5 to 6 out of those 10 years to make an argument. Babe was smoking, drinking, and still pitched and hit. Yeah, that's how it was those days. Have to hit San Francisco sometime. Was in Chicago, but I didn't have the urgency to go to Wrigley. San Francisco, I've been to Oracle Park. It's a beautiful park and a beautiful part of San Francisco. It's probably the last place in San Francisco that isn't a shithole. Very, very beautiful stadium. I go there at least once a year because I have friends of mine who know people over there, and we usually go over there for a weekend trip. Babe was smoking. Kurt, he did for one season, I'm pretty sure. Messi's the GOAT. Well, Xbox, I get arguments that Messi's the GOAT or Ronaldo's the GOAT. And usually Ronaldo fans get very offended when you say Messi's the GOAT. And then, of course, vice versa. Hey, Joe, big win. Alan, yes, it was, buddy. Yes, it was. It was a very good win, very soothing. It's nice to see, a 48-minute game just kind of being relaxed and not having too much stress. I'm sure in those Serbian leagues, they're probably still smoking, drinking during games. What does Jokic do in the offseason? Wasn't he a guy that was drinking Cokes like they were water? I think he stopped, but wasn't that what he was doing? Anybody can confirm that, let me know. Who's Jordan Darren? So was Jordan Darren. Oh, never mind. I read that wrong. Well, Jordan smoked cigars and had a beer, but that guy was a freak of nature, man. That guy, he was kind of like Ric Flair of basketball. He could drink like a sailor. He could stay up all night and still perform and not have any semblance of any weakness in that. He's just wired for it. Some guys are just born with something in their heads and bodies where they can handle no sleep, no drink a lot, and inebriate. I mean, just everything. And then that's what makes them great, I guess. The start tonight was bad, but the AR went pop. Yeah. Yeah, the start was bad. But the first quarter is hard to really gauge anything really a lot of times, especially nowadays. But once they ended at 25-25, I started feeling a little bit better. I was like, Oklahoma City seems to be a team the Lakers are not afraid of, and they seem to play pretty well against. Also, Oklahoma City's very, very young guys. They're very, very young. I'm going to trust AD and LeBron against very young guys. Chet Holmgren's going to be a great player as long as he stays healthy, but he's nowhere near where he's going to need to be at this point. And then Shea Gilgeous, somebody had mentioned, I think maybe he might have partied too much last night because he was kind of a non-factor tonight. He only scored 20 points. Jordan was just as determined to win every game. Yeah, that's the competitive side, Alan. It's just some guys they can't handle losing. It doesn't matter if it's a card game, doesn't matter if it's a basketball game, doesn't matter if it's a computer game. It becomes that satisfaction of winning. Ask Jeeves if D'Lo is a great shooter. Ask Jeeves. AR's high arcing three tonight was nice. Yeah, I think that's going to be a play one of the plays of the week if I had to pick one. That was kind of cool. The LeBron play too was really good too. The and one. SGA ain't no killer reminds me of AD. Ooh. I wouldn't go that far yet, but you might be right. Excuse me. You might be right at the moment, but can he develop that? Is he the type of player? Can you develop a killer instinct, or is that already in you? Was Kobe a killer his first 3-4 years in the league? I think his killer thing started in 2000 when he hit the game winner against Phoenix in the second round. Phoenix was up 1. Lakers had won game 1. It was game 2 in LA. Kobe hits a double fake, or I should say a fake in the air elbow shot over Jason Kidd to go up 1 and win the game. That was where it started. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go onto YouTube, click on 2000 Western Conference semifinals, Phoenix against LA, game 2, and you'll see it. It was a very good, entertaining game, by the way. Thanks, Jeremy. I appreciate it, brother. Really, really appreciate it. I had a very, very, very good weekend, birthday weekend. Friday night was my birthday, and that hung out with family and friends at my cousin's restaurant, had drinks and food, and it was a fabulous night. A nice 46 birthday. Nothing special in terms of number. I'm sure the number of 50 will be special, and that'll probably be maybe an epic party where all of us are together, maybe one day, God willing. Yeah, Jason Kidd had blonde hair that year. It was not a good idea. Yes, Jeremy, I'm drinking Tito's again. Again, it goes down a little easier this late at night, and I tend to not get too, feeling bad. So Intel, imagine Shaq with Jordan, Kobe's mentality. They asked Kobe this question. They said, what if Shaq had Kobe's work ethic? And Kobe right away said he would have been the best player in the NBA ever. And I believe him. Shaq was a couple finals losses away. He had switched those around to wins from being the greatest center of all time. Even better than Wilt, even better than Kareem. Joe, your cousin's restaurant, what cuisine? It's everything. It's everything. It's got like a New York, Vegas type atmosphere in the middle of the Inland Empire here in Southern California. What the hell took you so long?
Uploading the show.
Uploading your butt?
Whatever. I would be headed your way. I was going to ask you if you wanted to have dinner on Saturday night.
Of course I do.
There you go. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we're going to be heading in that area Saturday night. So there you go.
Jay Bizzle, my nizzle. Calling me my old ass.
I was at the strip.
Even Ham couldn't stuff this one up here. Jeremy's cracking me up.
Actually, tonight would be a good night to go to the strip. It's not crowded tonight.
Who wants to go to the strip to watch a bunch of strippers?
Good point.
Better than Kareem? Yes, I would have picked Shaq over Kareem if Shaq had won in 1995 and in 2004. Think about it, Intel. Think about it. We've gone over this a few times on past shows. If Shaq had gone 6-0 in the finals, 95, 2000, 2001, 2002, 2004, and then 2006. If he had gone 6-0, he would have likely won 5 finals MVPs. He would have won those 2 years as finals MVP and would have been 6-0 in the finals. Would have taken 3 teams as a number 1 or 1A to a title. Tell me how different his resume would look next to those guys. You could say that Shaq's the best center of all time, even above Kareem. Now, Kareem won 6 MVPs. The problem is they used to vote best player at the time that Kareem was playing. Shaq got gypped out of at least 2 more MVPs. One in 2001, and you could say in 2002 as well, but then there was also 2005, the year Steve Nash won. No, I live in Temecula. It's east of LA. So what do you think? What do you think about that, Gerald? Would that work?
I think it will work.
Okay, he would have won one in Orlando.
Mhm.
He would have won 4 out of 5 in LA, and then would have won one in Miami. And he would have had 5 finals MVPs. At least 4.
I he's, to me, the most dominant player I have seen outside of Michael Jordan.
He is the most dominant, but this sports is about accomplishments. The reason why Jordan's the greatest ever isn't just because of his talent. It's
It's because
because
he
he
backs it
was
up with rings.
he backed it up at the highest spot. There's a lot of people out there that look at it as, well, he didn't win in those other 7 years. How come it's okay, and he still didn't win then. It's better to get to the finals. No, it's not better to get to the finals. I'd rather lose in the first round than lose in the finals. I'd rather be 6-0 than 7-4. Now, if you want to go 10 out of 14, then that's a different story, because that's 4 more championships. So I'd say that's okay. That's one that you'd have to kind of measure a little bit and figure that one out. Shaq with Kobe out would have beaten the Detroit. Wilt could bench over 500 pounds. Yeah, but Wilt was a mental midget in big games, unfortunately, from what I've read. He went 2-4 in the finals. That's another issue. If Wilt had gone 6-0 in the finals, he would have been the greatest. But going 2-4, he lost in 1973, lost in 1970, lost in 1969, won in 67, lost in 68, and then won in 72. Player that dominant should have won more championships than 2. Do you
I
agree?
agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I
there were
agree.
too many instances where he was worried about other things than winning. This is how he was. Shaq also got fat as hell and went to yeah, man. He really, really
He
disappointed.
regrets that. He regrets that to this
That
day.
was the dumbest thing he could do, wearing that puke turd green to finish his career. Really? I mean, Cleveland was bad enough. But the Celtics, really? You go from Orlando, LA, Miami, Phoenix, Cleveland, and then you end it with the Celtics? Just retire, Shaq. But anyways, that's just we're never gonna be able to say any of this. This is all hypothetical, right? If
Yep.
this guy had done this, if this guy had done that. Jeremy, Cam Reddish looking just absolute garbage out there, guys. Hey, basically zero value. I don't know. What did you think about him tonight? Did he play any good defense? I wasn't paying attention to him.
He could test it okay, but again, whether or not he's getting back from the injury, we saw the same thing with Vanderbilt. He absolutely was terrible for like what, 2 weeks. We were thinking he was toast, he was done. Then all of a sudden he realized what he could do and not do, so he started playing better. That was before he got injured. Maybe the same will go for Cam Reddish. Got to remember, before you say that, he is a minimum player, and B, he was leading the league in steals in the month of November, as far as he was playing defense at a really good level. Now, will he ever go back to that again? I don't know. Again, I don't know. Maybe that you saw the best of Cam Reddish back in November, but again, he's a minimum player, Joe. We have so many of these expectations for these players, and we talk about Christian Wood, and we talk about this player, even Max Christie, and all that. These guys are making $2-3 million a year. Torian Prince, $4.5 million a year. We shouldn't, even though that's a lot of money for us, for relative speaking, as far as the NBA is concerned, you really shouldn't hold too much weight into these guys that are being played on minimum contracts.
No, but they do need these guys.
They do, yeah. That's because Rob Pelinka set
The
themselves up for
Lakers
that.
are going to need to have Reddish was out for a while. It's taking a while for him to get back to that leading the league with steals for a month. The Lakers are likely praying that he gets into his groove right before the playoffs start.
Oh, I said he's still awful on offense. I never said he was good on
Right,
offense.
right.
Because you remember Miami. You remember how bad he was shooting the three, uh, and to see that it still irks me to this day. Ham drew up a play for him on that three.
Yeah, but that's the thing is I don't think they're relying on him to be this offensive player. They are banking. I know it. They're banking on Cam getting into shape right in time for the
Take care,
playoff run.
Dante.
Take care, Dante. Good to have you, brother.
His phone was losing its charge, so he had to go.
The having Cam Reddish get his win back, and then having Vanderbilt come back in time so that he can get his win back, and then they'll have a couple players that can play some defense. I think that's what they're praying on.
It is, but again, we won't know anything on Vanderbilt or Vincent until next week. Ham said there won't be anything on them until next week at the earliest. So,
You know, sports baby, one of my goals, honestly, at least the last few years, was to have a show on Sirius XM radio. I'm a very big fan of the satellite radio format. It's a lot easier to control the show on a podcast, but I still like a little bit of the traditional way of doing radio. So if there's ever a chance where we can get to satellite radio, because I'm not a big fan of terrestrial radio, it's a commercial machine. I hate those channels. I rarely listen to terrestrial radio. It's such trash.
but I did ask you if we could look into it as far
Yes,
as any
yes.
Southern California stations out there.
Yes, and we will. We will. I'm going to be talking to some people that I know.
Because then we could graduate to Sirius.
Yeah, yeah. And you can take what you can get, and hopefully get to the point where we can definitely make that work.
If any of you out there in Southern California area and you want to email your radio station close by, we'd love to have you do something. Let them know that you want the Lakers fast break there. And
Mad Dog Soro. I think about that, Kurt, a lot, having a little bit of a shouting match with Mad Dog, because Mad Dog can get pretty wild. And there was a time where he really pissed me off one time about the whole Houston Dodger World Series thing. He didn't put a lot of thought in that they cheated, and he's like, well, they still should have won here at home. I'm like, dude, game 5, if you win that game, the series is over. The Dodgers were up 4-0 and 7-4 in those games. They would have been able to close this out if they didn't know what the hell's going on. So that would have been that would have been one of those fun, epic moments where I think the shouting would have probably busted some mics, but it would have been fun to watch.
how much do you say any of that is real? Because I mean, we coming from you, your rants come from the heart. I can tell. I know this now. I know you long enough to know that that's the case. But with a guy like Skip Bayless, a guy like Mad Dog, a guy like Stephen A, where they're paid millions of dollars to just rant, how legitimate do you think those rants are, in your opinion?
Skip Bayless is a piece of garbage.
Well, I mean, I understand their opinions aside.
Fake. He's a fake scumbag.
Okay.
That's a scumbag.
Okay.
The Stephen A. Smith is real. Mad Dog with the ESPN setup, that looks a little staged. Okay. But he does go off on a show. And Nick Wright is a piece of shit. He's not just bad. He's a piece of shit.
It's funny because remember, he was nobody on the night show doing the overnight stuff, Nick Wright all night. And then all of a sudden they moved him to a daytime slot. And now you're
Nick Wright, Lats Wrights. That's where he belongs. He said some things in the past on some stuff, and his face and his whole existence just makes me want to throw up. I would love to get into a discussion with that guy. Looks like a wet turd. Shannon Sharp started to grow on me. Originally I thought Sharp guys like Shannon Sharp, guys like Michael Irvin always bothered me. There was always this kind of aura of obnoxiousness,
Mhm.
and Michael Irvin still irritates me. Shannon Sharp, uh, when he did the Cat Williams interview, I think that one of the reasons I liked that interview was he conducted the interview like a seasoned pro, someone like Barbara Walters or Diane Sawyer. He would ask questions, he would listen, and then he would shut the hell up and let the guest talk. Versus somebody like Bill O'Reilly or that giraffe jerk off Howard Stern every 5 seconds interrupting people while they're talking.
Okay.
Joe, do a pyramid of sports announcers. Are we talking play by play or commentators?
Sports talk,
Just sports talk?
like Jim Rome or something like that.
Ooh. You got to put Colin Coward in there, don't
It's
you?
funny, we was brought up the famous Chris Everett, Jim Everett.
You got to put Colin Coward in there at this point, don't you?
No, I don't. Sorry.
No. From a
I
sports
understand
standpoint,
he's very successful. I'm not going to argue with the success that he has, but I am not a fan. And I've said that many times.
you know,
Like,
honestly, guys,
he's my
honestly,
Nick Wright. How about that? He's my Nick Wright.
all right. I don't know if that's the same though.
Well, your dislike for him, Nick Wright, is my dislike for Colin Coward.
Commentator, God, that's a really good one. You know who I really like? Like the Ravitch guys,
Oh,
Fowler.
Ryan Hollins, yeah.
Ryan Hollins is a he's a
Justin Termini loves to scream on Sirius XM radio. I recently got it back when I got my car, and yeah, he loves to scream. Absolutely loves to scream.
God, who would be the pyramid? God, now I'm really trying to think about this. It's just sports, right? Is it sports in general? Is it a specific sport?
I guess it just
Let me think about that one, guys. Let me get back to you on that. We'll do a nightcap on in a couple of days. I'll see if I can bring that one up. My nemesis is that guy on Pop Culture Cosmo.
that's Kurt.
That's funny, guys. That's funny. Anyways, we're getting close to finishing the drink, folks. I'm getting close to getting some shut eye.
So what did you say on Wilson? $85 million they're choking on.
I did mention it. I'm thinking he's gonna go somewhere that he wants to win.
I think he's got a year left. Statistically, his numbers weren't bad, Joe.
If he wants to win, if he wants to go somewhere where he can have a chance at winning, if Minnesota doesn't pick up Kirk Cousins' demands, he could end up in Minnesota. That would be his best bet because any other team that I've been scoping out, he's not going to be able to win.
You wouldn't get him as a 1-year replacement for high draft. If you don't want to go ahead and start your high draft pick yet, because there's 5 quarterbacks currently projected in the first round and 2 other quarterbacks.
I think he's a distraction.
Okay.
I think that's why they let him go in Denver. Sean Payton's like, this guy doesn't have it. He's a distraction in some way. It might not be the traditional way in that he's a cancer or he's sabotaging things. I just think his overall demeanor and attitude might be just something that's bothering Sean Payton. Because to take an $85 million hit, that is just mind-boggling to me.
Because his numbers are similar to, you remember the season before Aaron Rodgers had his MVP season? The season before was kind of like, it was okay. 26 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, 66% completion ratio. That's not bad, Joe.
Well, if he goes to Minnesota, he's going to have weapons on each corner. He's going to have a tight end he can throw to. They have maybe a little bit of a running game, not much, but That could be something there. I don't know where else he could go. He could go to Washington, but he's not going to win there.
Good point.
He could go to, if Cleveland decides to get rid of the Deshaun Watson experiment, he could go to Cleveland. Maybe they could win. But this is going to be an interesting offseason for the second-tier quarterbacks. Who's going to get the second-tier quarterbacks? Who's going to keep or get Kirk Cousins or Russell Wilson or Justin Fields? Justin Fields is actually more of a third tier, close to fourth tier at this point. So it will be interesting which team will take a chance on that. The Steelers are already reported that they're not going to go after Justin Fields, Russell Wilson, or Kirk Cousins. I think what they're going to do is they're going to run one more year with Kenny Pickett. However, if a particular quarterback presents himself in this draft, they will think about possibly drafting. I just don't think it'll be in the first round.
Sports Baby, I thought it said if the Lakers go 16-3, he would give us $500.
He would, but the other thing is if I drank 16 shots in 2.5 hours, which is a shot every 9.3 minutes.
Holy cow.
Although somebody said it was 7.5, but I'm pretty good with math. I don't know how that came about.
That's nuts.
I don't think I'm going to do that one, G. Sorry.
I'm not asking you to, my friend.
Yeah. But it is tempting. It is tempting. And
Your wife would come and slap me the first time she met me.
Look, you got to understand something here, man. I do what I do when I want, how I want, when I want. I don't live that kind of life.
Okay, I'm just making sure. If you go to your doctor with liver problems because of me until
not likely.
Okay, all right.
I think the 16 shots is in honor of the 16 wins that they have to win. 50
I think
games.
I think the 16 shots.
How about this? How about 16 shots in 3 hours? That's a lot of shots still, even in 3 hours. That's 100. That's 180 minutes.
The Lakers will not go 16-3, so I think your money's safe there.
So let's see that 180 minutes divided by 16 shots. That's a shot every 11.25 minutes.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Let me think about that one. That might be a good one. Anyways.
I do appreciate the super chat tonight. Thank you, Intel. You're most generous, and we truly cannot thank you.
Yes, thank you again.
I hope to see you in May then when you say you're coming back to Vegas.
We're going to pay this forward, Intel. What you're doing is a great help to us, and we're very appreciative. And you're going to be one of the what do they do when they donate to those lame little whatevers when they're building buildings at universities? You get a little brick with your name on it, like a jerk off. So we'll have a little brick somewhere virtually on the show.
I can see you having. We'll make a brick somewhere here on.
You can wallpaper. Have your name on the wall.
We'll call it
donate $5,000.
Intel Wild's brick. He's a jerk off, according to Joe.
There you go. Anyways, I want to thank everyone for being on the show tonight. Gerald, thanks for sneaking back in here before the show was over. Intel, Kurt, Darren, Sports Baby, Aussie. Who else do we got? Xbox.
Fly safe, Intel, back home.
What else we got? Who else we have? I want to thank everyone here. Who do we have? Sports Baby already said. We had, where's my guy?
Well, Darren, actually, that's a good question.
Was one here. Dante was here. Everyone that was here, if I missed your name, I'm sorry. Want to thank you all for watching. Lakers won tonight, 116-104. We're off to Sacramento here in a couple of days. Gerald, do you have something to say? Sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, we're actually hosting the game. Next week is the one that we're off to Sacramento on.
What do you mean?
You said we're off to Sacramento.
Well, I meant we're on the Sacramento in terms of the game, not place.
But the shirts, again, hopefully, I was showing the other day, Nick and Joe, this site about how it integrates with Shopify and all that. So hopefully, as we get bigger, if we get big enough, Shopify will help us integrate the shirts and all the products, all the LFB products even more, where you can see it and select it right on the screen. I don't know if Joe caught that, but yeah, it's really nice how slick how they can present it to you. And that's what I'm hoping for to get and evolve for the Lakers Fast Break, so that you will see if you like something right there, right below Joe, a shirt or item, Lakers Fast Break item will pop up. You can select on there and instantly get it if you wish. So that is the goal. That is the goal.
The production value will continue to improve as the guys like Intel keep dropping $500, $10, $20. The thing, just inevitable, right? Again, thank you again for being here tonight. If you have any questions, any comments, email us at LakersFastBreak@yahoo.com. If you want to contact me directly, you can go onto my X, which I have to get used to saying X.
I'll say Twitter, thanks.
Joe Soro LFB. If you want to find me on Instagram, simblades_turf. If you want to see me on Facebook, on Messenger, I have my alias, Johnny Blade, JOHNNY, 2 words, Blade. Yes, Johnny Blade is my alias on Facebook. Until, I guess, Wednesday? Thursday? What's today?
Well, today
Monday?
is Monday, but
Yeah.
tomorrow, John.
Tomorrow we're going to have a snack pack.
Yeah.
We're going to have a snack pack. We're going to discuss more details on Wednesday's game against Sacramento in LA. Can the Lakers make up 2 games in 2 games against Sacramento? Start creeping up into that 8-7 spot. We're going to discuss that tomorrow.
Don't forget John Costa at 2 p.m. Pacific.
John Costa tomorrow at 2 p.m. Pacific. John is starting to get integrated here a little bit more and more, and you're going to start hearing more and more from him.
He has a special guest, and I didn't tell the main crew on the post game what it is, but it rhymes with Roan Ranson. Yeah.
I don't know who that is, but I'm sure it'll be a good show. Until then, I want to thank.
Whose name rhymes with Roan Ranson?
I don't know.
Okay. His next Lakers nightcap is after the Wednesday game.
And we need Stone Cold Hansen on the post game, hopefully on Wednesday. So stay tuned. We're going to try to battle this as much as we can on the West Coast games, because games start at 7:30. It's very hard for someone who lives on in a 3-hour difference going that way to be able to stay up until 2 or 3 in the morning. But until then, I want to thank everyone again for being here tonight. We're going to have Lakers nightcap after Sacramento again on Wednesday. Of course, post game before then. So until next time, we'll see you next time.
And I'm hoping we're going to be out still on the air.